Hello, everyone. We'll give everyone a chance to get loaded and situated, and then we'll be beginning in just a moment or two. All right, it looks like we have pretty much everybody in now. There might still be some people joining, but it looks like those of you who are here are already loaded. Thank you for joining Fairfax County Public Library this afternoon to learn about Freedom and Dance for All from Clarence McFerren II. My name is Andrea Fernandez, and I will be facilitating today's event with backup help from Laurel Tacoma. We are both employees at Fairfax County Public Library. Today's program will be recorded to be posted to the library's YouTube channel. Please keep your microphones off throughout the program. We will notify you when it's time for audience participation, which will be through polls and the chat. If you have questions during the program, please submit them in the chat. You can also submit questions in the chat for our Q&A at the end of the program. And now, please welcome educator and author Clarence McFerren II.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Hopefully you can. If not, make sure you just try really, really hard. All right. Well, welcome, everyone. Like she said, I'm Clarence McFerren II. I'm really ecstatic to be here with you all to share about freedom and dance for all. And I hope that you all will participate. That's going to make this program a very, very, very interactive program. If you participate, it should fly by with ease. All right. So like she said, the title of the program is Freedom and Dance for All. I'm Clarence McFerren II. So a few things about myself. Welcome again. I'm Clarence McFerren II. I'm a speaker, educator, and author. I've been teaching for multiple years. This is, I want to say, year 15, believe it or not. I've actually taught all grade levels, starting at pre-K through the higher education level as well, in Tennessee and Virginia, in Texas, as well as Washington, D.C. Also, I've done a TED Talk in Memphis, which was titled Mental Liberation Through Dance. So feel free to check that out as well to get some more background knowledge as far as my work in dance and mental health. If you also look at the screen, you'll notice that I have 3 children's books that I have authored. They're all based on true stories, but they tell a little different aspect about my life as far as dealing with respect, resiliency, as well as responsibility. So you want to make sure you check those out. And at the end of the actual show, you will see that you will get an opportunity to give feedback. And once you complete that feedback form that you will receive in your email, make sure that you pay close attention to the ending message, because you will receive a special digital treat. So it's really important that you fill that feedback form out so you can get all the information that you need for that digital treat. All right, so are you ready? Let's get started, everybody. And welcome to those who just entered. I'm glad that you were able to make it, and continue to share with your friends so they can also come and be informed. It's really important to be informed. All righty. So just to give you all some housekeeping ideas and some information, we're going to have some check-ins throughout this program. And it's really important that you stay alert and attentive, because that's how we're going to keep that actively engagement involvement with each other. So if you look at the screen, you'll notice it says, this is going to be an opportunity for us to build upon the conversation that we're going to have. Also, we want to add clarity, and most importantly, we want to connect with one another. Even though we are distant, apart, it doesn't mean that we cannot connect. But your voice and your thoughts, they all matter, all right? And I want you to pay close attention to that disclaimer at the bottom as well. It's really, really important, because as we continue to share information, I don't want anyone to take things out of context. But that disclaimer, which you will see multiple times throughout this program, is basically says this presentation is intended for educational and inspirational purposes only. It is not, keyword, not a substitute for mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. So make sure that you pay close attention to all of that. All right. So I want to get to know a little bit about you all. Who are you? You know things about me. I gave you a brief introduction of myself, just as our host did as well. But I want to get to know you all. So throughout this program, I'm going to be listing a couple of polls for you all to do, and they are interactive, and you can just click on your responses so I can get an idea of who do we have here with us today. So we're going to do a test run now. Are you ready? Let's see. So we're going to do this first poll here. This is just so you can test it out. No stress, no worries. All right. So this is just a warm up, and here We go. So this is your first warm-up poll question. The title of this event is Freedom and Dance for All. Go ahead and get those responses coming in. And just click on your screen. And once we get those answers in, we'll share and see what the responses were. Make sure you click your answer. All right, let's go ahead and end it. It doesn't look like anyone's responding. Let's see here. No responses came. Is that function working for everyone? Can everyone see it?
We do have responses, Clarence. It might not be showing them for you. We had 100% answering true. The title is Freedom and Dance for All.
Excellent, excellent. So no worries at all. So I cannot see it, but hey, guess what? We're going to keep things moving. Thank you all for paying attention and staying alert. Now that was just the warm up. So now let's get down to some other information that I want to know about you all. Okay. So here's the next one. I want to know again, who are you? And here we go. Now notice at the bottom of the screen, it says a number. So there are 3 different questions in this actual poll. All right. So you want to make sure you click on your response and then make sure you click the next option so you can get to the next question for yourself.
We're getting some answers in.
Excellent, excellent. Keep them rolling. And each time that we have a poll, we'll spend approximately 1 minute. And if you all can tell me if we have 100%, we can move it further on in the program.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
We are at 9 respondents so far, which is how many we had for the first question. So I think we can finish now. So for number 1, how are you feeling about your life? Oh, and my answers went away. How are you feeling about your life? We have 5 people responding. They're enthusiastic, enjoyment. 3 people are overworked or stressed. 2 are anxious or worried. And we have 1 person who is depressed or feeling unhappiness.
All right. So this is really good information so I can know who is here. All right. So one thing is, it's good to know that the majority of you all are feeling enthusiastic and enjoyment. You know, if you're feeling stressed and overworked, no worries. Hopefully you'll feel that you can get some information from this program to help you overcome that stress. It looks like we have a few people that are worrying, but no worries. I always tell my students that no worries, things will work out. And no one is too energetic, but we have 1 person, it looks like that they're depressed and unhappy. And guess what? I'm going to share some of my stories so you can know that, hey, you are not alone in this. All right. So let's keep things moving forward and see what else that we have here.
Sure. So for why are we attending this event? We have 5 respondents saying they're attending to learn new things. 4 people said they're curious about the topic, and 3 people said they're here to support the speaker.
All right. Thank you all for your support, and hopefully I can give you all some new information. But remember, it's all about education so we can expand our knowledge. And let's go to the next one.
All right. Ages of participants in all the participants at your location. We have 2 people saying childhood, 0 to 14 years. 1 person, 1 respondent is in the 15 to 24. 7 participants today are 25 to 64 years, and we have 2 people responding 65 years and above.
Awesome. So this is really good information. So this allows me to understand who is here so I can figure out how to gear and reach everyone. So no worries. Don't be ashamed of your age. It is a great thing. And it lets us know that some of us are a little more seasoned than others, and some of us are trying to get that season so we can grow and expand our knowledge. So that is awesome. All righty. So we're going to stop sharing this and we're going to get right into things here. All right. So keep it moving. So informed people are happy people. And that's something that I always like to tell people that I interact with, because once you gain the knowledge that you have gotten from school or from your parents or from your church or from any type of organization that you've been in, you start to grow because you've learned new things. So I'm here to inform you, and hopefully I can make you happy, because that's going to make you what? Less ignorant, which basically means lack of knowledge. The more knowledge you have, the more happiness you should acquire. All right. So we're going to break this program down into three different sections. We're going to first talk about the oppressive emotional dissonance, freedom, and dance for all. Okay, so make sure you pay close attention to each one and you'll figure out the pattern. And do not forget, you're going to have check-in sessions throughout the actual program. So you want to stay alert, attentive, and make sure you're participating. So I want you to take some time to look at these pictures on your screen. Take some time and let them resonate in your gut. All right? And I'm going to be silent for a moment just so you can do that. All right. Hopefully you all were able to look at each individual picture. And I know for some of you all, that time may have seemed very, very long. And you know, that happens to us sometimes. It's difficult to be still and to focus. However, I'm going to briefly talk about some of these pictures. If you look at the bottom left corner, you have probably noticed in our country today, we're dealing with a lot of social injustices in the world, not only here, but around the world. And one of the movements now is Black Lives Matter. Believe it or not, I had an incident when moving to Virginia in a public Walmart with a white male who felt the need to attack me verbally in a checkout line. And all I could think about, my life matters. And I knew if I had defended myself, I probably would have ended up dead or in handcuffs. So I had to think, how do I respond to this gentleman who is attacking me verbally because they said I skipped them in the line at Walmart? All right. So I just want you to think about that. I'm not going to expound on it too much. And then you want to look at these pictures over here on the left. Those are pictures of slavery. And when you think about slavery, that's captivity. Think about someone who is purchasing you with paper money, and then you have to do whatever they say. In this top picture, it was really, really profound to me because these slaves were walking to the ship, but the people who were leading them were actually killing them along the way, because if they felt like they couldn't do what they needed them to do, they just murdered them. They didn't matter. But guess what? You all matter. Now, if you look at this next picture, just horrible behaviors. And if you look down here, this is a really, really important picture to me because I'm a native of Memphis, Tennessee. This is the Lorraine Motel where Dr. Martin Luther King was shot and assassinated. And what's most importantly about this picture is that this has personal ties to my family because my great uncle, John McFerren, actually testified in the Martin Luther King assassination trial, which can be found in the FBI records in Washington, D.C. And to me, Memphis has this gloomy heaviness over it, I believe, since that assassination on April 4th of that year. Now, if you look over here to this right, you see a Black man with the flag across his face. He also has an afro. Each little part of this picture means something. And you also see burning buildings in the background. This Black man is most likely struggling with being a Black man in this country. Why? Because he may not feel that he is being represented the way that he should be, or he's being perceived the way that he should be, or he's being treated the way that he should be. And he's looked at differently. And there are all these preconceived notions about who he is, what he can do, and what his future is to hold. Just let that resonate. You may not be a Black male, so that means my lens are going to show something totally different than yours. All right. But we're here together to connect. Let's line things up a little bit so we can learn at the same time. All right. Let's keep it moving. Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Now, if you notice, slaves, they struggled. Okay. All of the blacks in this country, they struggle. We struggle. And guess what? If there's no struggle, there's no progress. Now, I'm not going to necessarily condone in any of these behaviors because I condemn them all. And I can say that. I condemn racism. I condemn slavery. I condemn white supremacy. However, all of those things in history, they have taught us who to be, how to be, and where to be, and when to be. So you have to really think about that to make it connect. And there is progress being made slowly but surely. However, the long road it takes to get there seems like it will never end, because some of the things that were happening back then still are occurring today, but in a different way. So I broke this presentation into 3 different categories, and all of these sections have my own words. So oppressive emotional dissonance, and I have defined it as the internalization of adverse experiences that traumatize physical and psychological freedom. So I want you to really think about that. If someone is oppressing you, think about that. Think about the slaves. Think about the emotions. Think about when you're listening to music that sounds like it's screeching and making your flesh crawl. There's a dissonance. That means it's not harmonious. Now, I want you to look at this Band-Aid over here. We cannot put Band-Aids on things without going to the root of those issues and those problems. Band-Aids are temporary fixes. We have to reveal what is actually going on so we can actually make progress and move ahead and move forward. Now, I want you to take this poll and I want you to make sure that you are being honest with yourself. The poll will be in just a minute. Now, look at this picture here. You have this young black man sitting over here on the left. He's apparently dealing with some emotional distress because he may not have a father at home. He may not have a mother at home. He may be homeless. He may be harassed. He may be shamed, as they talk about in the K-12 educational system, because of how he looks, his hair, or he can be discriminated against because he has a tattoo on his forearm. Guess what? I have 15 and I'm proud of them because they make me who I am. And do I have them all over where they can be visible? I do. They're on my neck, my arms, my hands, you name it, I have one. And it's an artistic expression that Black people do in America that can be taken out of context. Therefore, we have to be oppressed by those who are afraid or ashamed of what our presentation revealed or what it could say. But if you look at this picture on the right, you notice that you have all of these tombstones, as I like to call them. They're little crosses, because people don't think about the words that you say and the things that you do to others. You are slowly killing them when you attack them, when you try to trick them or tease them or beat them up or defame them because they don't necessarily say the things that you think they should say, or walk in the way that you believe they should walk, or look how you think they should look. So that's usually an internal emotional distress that you have within yourself when you treat others unfairly, when you shame them and mock them and oppress them. So that's usually something that we have to deal with internally to make sure that we are not necessarily projecting our negative energies on others, because you never know how you can make someone feel. Now, Carter G. Woodson said, when you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions, because you've sat here and you've trained them to think a certain way. For instance, if I know there's not a back door but you've trained me to make sure that I go through that back door. I'm going to make sure I go and carve out a back door so I can go through that back door, because like Carter G. Woodson said, you have trained me mentally to believe that I am not worthy to go through the front door. And I fear the hate and the way that you can treat me, or the way that you will behave around me, because you are oppressing me being able to think independently. You don't want me to be a maverick, one who thinks and works independently. You want me to be a what? A slave. However, we have to make sure that we move past those type of mentalities that no one is worthy to think on their own. It is time to check in. And I want to know, have you experienced various things in your life? Because that's going to allow you to be honest with yourself, so you can actually think about it and you can reflect on those issues to see how can you improve your life, and how can you use the information that we're going through today in order to make your life a lot better. So take some time to respond, and then we're going to talk about the results in just a minute.
Let's get some answers in, folks. We want to see your responses.
Don't be ashamed. And you can be honest. We do not know who is actually responding to what question at all.
Yep, for the record, all these questions today are anonymous, so we have no idea who's answering which way. We have about 50% of people responding so far.
Excellent.
Give a little bit more time in case anybody else wants to give an answer. We have 7 out of 12 participants responding right now. Oh, 8 of 12.
We're going to take a couple of more seconds and then we're going to move forward. All right, we're going to go ahead and end this poll. If you did not get to respond, no worries. No worries at all. All right, let's share these results so we can see what the responses were.
All right, so for the first question, have you or anyone you know experienced any of the following? We have 6 respondents saying they've know or have experienced parental divorce or separation. 4 for family member who is incarcerated or imprisoned. 7 for family member addicted to alcohol, drugs, or other substance. 6 for physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. And 5 for witnessed a mother or father being abused.
All right. So just a little brief synopsis of this information, and to also share something about me so we can make that connection with one another. Believe it or not, I have experienced 4 of these different things. Now, am I going to tell you which ones? Not necessarily, because I'm sure everyone is thinking, oh my goodness, which one did he not experience? Which one is it? The main thing is to know, although I've experienced these adverse experiences, I'm still here. I'm still alive. There's hope, and there's also something, some light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm here to tell you, you can still be free. Now, if you're still holding on to some of these situations and issues, you are most likely enslaved and you're being held in captivity. And hopefully we can share some things with you today in order to make things a little better. So let's move on to the next poll question that we have.
For what do you struggle with in life? We have 5 respondents answering relationships. 4 responded job. 1 responded academics. 2 responded health. And 4 responded family.
All righty. So just being honest with everybody, relationships are tricky. You never know how things are going to last. Some people are there for a lifetime. Some people are there just for an assignment because they're trying to help you get through something. And then some people are just there to be a greeter, you know? So you just never know. And jobs come and go. Hey, academics, you are going to improve. You just have to try a different way of approaching that situation. And with your health, I'm here to tell you, we have some of the best medical professions in this country, and get help. It is okay. And you know what? With family, we don't get to pick or choose our families, but the main thing is to make the best of it. And if you need to find a new family, I'm sure someone's going to welcome you with open arms, because guess what? We are all family here. All right, and let's move on to the next question.
All right, the next one. Would you rather work for a boss who is selfish, manipulating, and demeaning, or be unemployed, homeless, and hungry? This one, in my mind, has interesting results. 50% of respondents said they would work for an egotistical boss. 50% of respondents said they would prefer to be broke and unemployed.
Interesting. So we got half and half. So the cool thing about this question is it puts you in a tough predicament, and you have to think about all of the pros and cons. So think about this. If you're working for that boss who is egotistical, guess what? No matter how egotistical they are, you still have to do what? You have to pay the bills in order to survive and live. If you want to have a roof over your head, and if you want to eat and take care of your family, you might have to deal with some what? Some struggle before you can make some progress. So think about these quotes and see how they're tying together. Now, if you would rather be broke and unemployed, that is okay, because it is your choice. That is a healthy thing too, because that lets me know that you are a maverick. You are freeing yourself from all of that captivity. And you are saying that, hey, I'm going to be optimistic because things are going to get better and I can do this. And you're not going to tolerate being treated unfairly or in a way that you don't believe that is held to your expectation. So don't let these things hold you back, everybody. And thank you for sharing your thoughts. Remember, your voice matters. We're going to stop sharing and we're going to move on. Now, make sure you remember all of these things that you said about yourself. All right, that's going to be important. All right. Now, on this screen, there are going to be some different things about mental health, because all of those answers that you just shared with us, they all relate to mental health. All of them. All of them. A lot of people don't realize that there's a difference between mental health and there's also a difference between mental illness. All right. So look at this screen, and it's a lot. And I'm going to be silent for a moment just so you can focus and start to look at some of these key points that I've provided to you from the American Psychiatric Association. All right. Hopefully you all had a time to skim through it. Now, keep in mind, you can always go back and look at the recording and you can actually delve into this information. And I want to make some key points. Now, remember, your mental health, it is going to involve the effective functioning in daily activities. So remember, everything that you do in life, it's going to involve your what? Your mind. Because if you remember elementary school, we learned about the central nervous system, and everything is going to come from that brain. And that brain is going to have to send messages throughout your body in order to function. So your brain is going to tell you, pick up that pencil, let me write. That brain is going to tell you, you need to eat, because your body needs some fuel in order to keep moving forward. All right. Now, when we get into mental illness, it refers to collectively to all diagnosable mental disorders. So this is when we need to get help. Significant changes in the way you're thinking, your emotion, and or your behavior. So let's go back to those previous posts. And when you were saying, if you were feeling depressed, you may need to see how can we make that a little bit better, okay? And believe it or not, we have people who are mentally ill and they're undiagnosed in this country. Guess what? I was one of them. But I want to make sure that you know it is okay to get help, and make sure that you seek help if you feel that something is not right. All right. But the mind is a terrible thing to waste, but it's even going to be worse if you don't necessarily take care of it and nurture it. It is an organ that we have to make sure that we take care of like it was our own child. Because remember, the brain controls everything else in your body. So that job that you have, if your brain is not functioning right, it's going to disappear. And you may think it is your dream job, or that A that you got on that test, it took your brain in order to make you function properly in order to take that test to receive that A that you earned. All right. So I really want you to think about that. Your mental health versus your mental illness, if you have one. And if you are unsure, guess what? Go get tested. It is okay to get tested. And do not be afraid of what the results may be, because the main thing is to make sure that you know informed people are happy people. Remember that. Informed people are happy people. So when you know and you have the information that you need in order to survive, that's going to make you even more powerful. Okay? So make sure that you get tested and you check on your mental health and to see if you have a mental illness if you don't already know that you have one. Now, this screen is very important. It's very important. This is where I start to make that connection with you all. This talks about 5 mental illness diagnoses. Guess what? If you know me, you know I do things in 3s, 5s, and 7s. This is very ironic that I was actually diagnosed with 5 mental illnesses. 5. And if you look at them across the screen, left to right, ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, SD, severe depression, A, anxiety, BT, bipolar tendencies. Now, some people may think, why would you be telling us about this? Oh my goodness, don't say this. Oh no. It is totally fine. You know why? Because I'm free and I have control over who I am, and what I am to become. I've gotten past that part of being tested to understand what is going on. I am informed about who I am so I can know what I need to do in order to improve and make things better. And guess what? I actually had to be locked up in a mental institution. But it does not determine my destiny. It is totally up to you. But when you are informed, you are happy. And guess what? I'm informed and I know these different things about me. And a lot of you all here today, you might not know who you are, but I'm trying to help you. If you learn who you are, you will start to navigate it. You will start to get some answers on how you can improve who you are. So you can not only make your life better, but you can make the lives better for those who are around you. Okay? So this is your charge. Make sure you get tested. Make sure you learn about how you think. What is going on? If something has been bothering you, we need to check on it. And a lot of it, believe it or not, it stems from childhood. And we carry those adverse childhood experiences on with us for years and years and years. And that heaviness starts to hold us down. But you want to make sure that you started to release those things so you can be free and you can live life. How can you do that? Dance. And we're going to get to that a little bit later. And despite all of the different pills and medications, which I have had to take, you can get past those things. And you can do things that can be a little more authentically you. So just make sure, trust yourself, get help. And it is not a bad thing to know, although we have all of these stereotypes out there against mental health and mental illnesses. Now, here are some facts about mental illness specifically. 19%, 1 in 5 US adults and children experience some form of mental illness. And we have a wide range of people in here today. So that means you could be working with someone who is mentally ill and you may not ever know. There are tons of myths about it. All mentally ill people are not violent. So you have to wash that out of your mind. And you have to get to know people for who they are before you prejudge them, because I guarantee you, you would not want to be judged yourself, because we all have skeletons where in that closet that we don't want people to know about. 4.1%, which is 1 in 24, has a serious mental illness. 1 in 24, that means if you're in school, one of your classmates most likely has a what? Mental illness. It may be you. So you might want to check. All right. 8.5%, you have 1 in 12 has a diagnosable substance use disorder. You never know what someone is going through. That's why it's so important to treat people the way you want to be treated, which goes back to why I wrote those children's books. Respectful, Lil Mac. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Responsible, Lil Mac. Be responsible and do the things that are expected of you. Resilient, Lil Mac. Make sure that you bounce back from all these difficult situations because you never know how you can move forward and help others around you that may also be in a difficult situation. So it's really important that you look at this and you see that this could be you, but how can you make things better for yourself so it is not you? And if it is you, what do I always say? Get help. Time to check in. We have a few mental health myths, and I want to know, what do you know? And what do you see as a form of mental health myth that may not be true? So I'm gonna give you some time to go ahead and respond to these posts and see, what do you think?
We're getting some answers rolling in. Keep it up.
Excellent job, everybody. And remember, it's all anonymous, so we don't know if you got it wrong or not. It's okay. We're not here to judge you. We're here to inform you and educate.
Okay, I think we might have almost everybody responded. Oh, yep, I think we have everyone now.
All righty, good job, everybody. So now let's keep that same enthusiasm throughout the rest of the polling. Now let's share these results and see what we have here. What do we have for number 1?
All right, for mental illnesses we have 83% of respondents saying they are very common, and we have 2 respondents, 17%, saying they are not very common. And then no one with the other 2 answers.
Okay, let's talk about this first one. Guess what? The answer is very common. It is very common. And this information is provided by the CDC. So you want to make sure that you check it out. And like I said earlier, you never know who you're going to come in contact with. And you may be working with someone who is a functioning person who has a mental illness. Ding, 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 ding. Like myself. Most of the times you cannot judge a book by a what? A cover. So you have to make sure that you treat people the way you want to be treated, and you never know when the tables may turn around and you are the one with that mental illness. So you don't want to necessarily oppress that person and hold them in captivity for something that sometimes cannot be controlled or stemmed from what? Childhood. All right, let's move on to the next one.
All right, for mental illness cannot be treated, we have 83% of respondents saying that is false. And we have 17%, 2 people saying that is true. Mental illness cannot be treated.
All right, now I'm not going to hold this against you. Now, some of you all may think this was a trick question, but remember, like when we take those standardized tests in school, we have to make sure we pay close attention to all the words. Mental illnesses, keyword, cannot be treated. Or if you want to make sure you switch out the word, mental illnesses can be treated. Mental illnesses, guess what? They can be treated. So that means this statement is false. They can be treated. Like I told you, I was on medication at one point and I took multiple pills and I actually had to go to the mental institution in order to get help. That is a form of treatment. And what else did I do in order to treat myself? Self-medicated. I danced and I still dance. All right. And we're going to get more into that a little bit later in the program. Let's move on to the next one.
Half of all mental illness occurs before a person turns blank years old, and 3/4 of mental illness begin before age 24. So for that first blank, when half of all mental illness occurs, we have 17% of respondents saying before age 6. We have 17% saying before age 10, 33% saying before age 14, 25% saying before age 18, and one person, 8% of respondents saying before age 22.
And the correct answer is age 14. Wow, I know. So believe it or not, we have a lot of elementary and middle school students who are suffering from mental illnesses. And what did I say earlier? A lot of those issues that we're dealing with internally stem from childhood, and they fester and they go over into our adulthood. So make sure you are mindful if your child, your nephew, your niece, or someone you know is suffering from something. I would say, please get them some help. And as a K-12 educator, I have had firsthand experience at all grade levels with students experiencing mental health and going to mental health institutions. And I think one thing that I can do for them is relate and connect to them because I've been there. And usually people who have not been there and have not walked in those shoes, they do not understand. So they do not know how to approach that situation. So don't oppress, try to help so they can progress. All right, so let's go ahead and stop sharing this one and we're going to keep things moving. Thank you all for participating, and hopefully you all will go back to the CDC's website and check out more information to inform yourself so you can be aware. Now, this is James Baldwin, and James Baldwin says freedom is not something that anybody can be given. Freedom is something people take, and people are as free as they want to be. Remember the song, "Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow." Remember, if you are not free, you can become free because it is what you believe. All right. You are free when you believe you are free. You are a professional when you believe you are professional. So you have to make sure you talk to your inner self. That's going to be really important so you can make sure that you grow and go beyond what people have limited you to be. And this is my definition. Freedom is the ability to think and live without mental, physical, or geographical restraints and fear of penalty or consequence. Now, if you're living in fear, which I like to deem as false evidence that appears real, this is where you have to change your way of thinking, okay? Because when you change your way of thinking, you're going to have more power and you're going to break those chains so you can move forward with your life. Now, this picture here, you're going to see these little black boys on the right. They aspire to be something wonderful, something amazing, I'm sure, because I just know that. I'm one of them myself. But when others look at this picture, they're going to see these little dirty children, and they're probably going to think their parents are not feeding them. They're going to be stereotypes and going to be put under all of these other social constructs. But I see beauty. I see all of these other wonderful, amazing things that they could be. Just like this bird on the left that is spreading his wings so he can fly. Because when you let go of all of those stereotypes and all of those mental baggages, the world is at your fingertips and you can do and can become whatever you choose. Now, Frederick Douglass said, it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Now, remember, if you're going to sit here and stereotype these young children, you're going to have a hard time repairing them later because they're going to remember those adverse childhood experiences and they're going to fester. They're going to help them develop into someone who is probably resentful, who does not want to trust you. So how can you help to build and support them so they can be better than they already are? So I want you to really think about that and think about the behaviors that you've been displaying. Not anybody else, because it's easy for us to complain about other people, but really think about yourself and why are the things happening to you that are happening to you? What goes around comes around. Karma is no joke. Time to check in. Now, hopefully you all have been really staying attentive so you all can really learn about yourselves and learn about the information that I'm sharing. And hopefully it is stirring up some little thoughts in your mind so you can see, I never thought about that. All right, let me give you a couple of minutes. Well, excuse me, not a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds. So go ahead and respond to these questions here.
And don't be shy. Remember, we can't see who's answering what way.
Is freedom real?
All right, we have 11 responses so far. Oh, we have everyone now.
All righty, so we're going to move on a little quicker this time, and I'm just going to go through all of the questions at one time. So if you could feel free to just tell us what the responses were for all of them.
Sure. What is freedom to you? We have 67% saying quitting a job you don't like, 75% saying limiting your time with toxic people, 92% saying dancing like no one is watching. For our second question, can people ever be free? 100% said yes, people can be free. And for our final question, have you taken your freedom? We have 83% of our respondents saying yes, they've taken their freedom, and only 2 people saying no.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for actually participating. So what is freedom to you? I'm really ecstatic and excited to see that 92% of people said dance. So that's a wonderful thing. And we're going to get more into that a little bit later. And those of you who say quit your job, guess what? It is probably one of the most liberating thing ever. I've been there. I didn't know what my next would be, but guess what? Through all things are possible through whoever you may believe as your higher power and being. So you can just make sure you know that, hey, be optimistic because something is coming. And also limit yourself from toxic people. I am the king of that. I will block and delete and keep things moving forward because you have to limit things. And sometimes you just don't want to hear stuff like, I'm not one to talk on the phone too often or text too often. However, I limit myself because I am rebuilding who I am as a person. And it's okay. Other people may not understand. And if they don't understand, it's okay. That means they need to work on themselves. That's how I look at it. Now, we got 100% that said you can be free. You can. I do believe that. I am. Are you? And then we have a few people that said they have not taken their freedom, and hopefully I can empower you or inspire you to take your freedom. It's difficult to change. I know, but you can do it. So let's go ahead and stop sharing and keep things moving forward. Thank you all so much for checking in. Now, in K-12, we like to say the Pledge of Allegiance daily, literally daily. And I always ask myself, okay, so what are these young children pledging their allegiance to? Or do they actually know what they are saying? It becomes just a saying, but are they really internalizing it? I'm actually ex-military, a finance specialist paratrooper. So it means something different to me, but as I have grown, it's different again. So when you experience different things in life, you start to change or there's a shift in your mind. So I really want you to think about, do you pledge your allegiance to the flag? Just think about it. We'll touch on it again later. And don't forget, I always keep saying that informed people are happy people. However, there are 3 things that keep people from obtaining their freedom. Like some of our participants said, they have not taken their freedom. And usually it's because of what I call the 3 G's that I learned about from a pastor in Texas in my early 20s. He would always talk about guilt, grief, and grudges, because we hold on to these things and then they become oppressive to us. And we don't realize that we're oppressing ourselves. So we have to make sure that we get rid of the guilt, we get rid of the grief, get rid of the grudges. So we got to figure out how can we actually work through those things, or those people who are projecting those things on us. So notice, free your mind. And what did I say earlier? The rest will follow, but it is totally up to you. Now let's review some quick data here. Now, 64% of Black pre-K through 12 students have parents whose education levels are less than high school. And let's go back to slavery. Slaves were killed. Slaves were whipped if they were not, if they were seen or trying to learn how to read and write. And to this day, we still have some who have not graduated from high school, which is also going to limit their employment status as well, because they're lacking certain skills. And then there's this saying, if you ever don't want someone to know something, put it in a book. Because if you can't read, comprehend, and write, it's going to limit your future. Then you got 26% of Black 25 to 29-year-olds who have only earned an associate's degree or higher. And as you start to get higher, the less people we have that are obtaining higher degrees. That's really interesting. So I want you just to think about that. It goes back to what? Childhood. And a lot of this is stemming back from many hundreds of years ago. And it goes back to what Dr. Joy DeGruy talks about in the post-traumatic slave syndrome. We've carried this baggage with us for so many years. And then we also have all of these other issues that we're dealing with, generational curses. And we have to break free from them. But how are you going to do that? Time to check in. I know y'all like, oh my goodness, he just keeps checking in with us. We are not going to get a break, and I really got to pay attention. That's right. That's what you have to do. You have to pay attention in order to break free, because if you're not paying attention, life will run away from you. So let me know about your allegiance. The answers are already posted, so you can respond. We'll just take a couple of seconds to get these answered.
And remember, we will not know who answers what way.
We'll take 15 more seconds.
All right.
All right, and we're going to go ahead and end it. If you have not finished, just go ahead and wrap it up.
I think we have almost everyone anyway.
All right, we'll hold a little more, just 5 more seconds. Get it in there, get it in there. All righty, we're going to go ahead and end so we can keep it moving forward. All right, let's share the results, and we're going to go through all 3 of them, and we'll touch on them.
All right, so for who are you loyal to? You have 64% saying they're loyal to religion, 27% to job, 64% to a spouse or partner, 82% to myself, and 0% said no one.
All right, and let's go ahead and do the other 2.
Okay. What is blocking your freedom in your life? 55% said their job, 27% said guilt, 27% said grief, 18% said grudges, and 27% said family. And then for the last question, do you believe that education is the key to freedom? We have 91% saying yes and only 1% saying no.
All righty. Well, thank you all so much for participating again. So the cool thing about this one is learning about yourself. So who are you loyal to? And it's really interesting to see that the majority of people are loyal to themselves. And I believe that that is okay, because guess what? If you don't help yourself, or if you're not loyal to yourself, who else will? And you got to know who you are before you can start helping and being loyal to other people. It starts with self. And some people may say you are selfish, which I've been called before. It's okay. Let it go in one ear and out the other. Now, if you are overly selfish, you may need to rethink that. But for the most part, you got to know how to take care of yourself, because guess what? Your parents are not going to always be there for you. Your spouse is not going to always be there for you. Your friends, your other family members, your coworkers, they're not going to always be there, because we are living in a life whereas there's called evolution. Eventually, people die, and that's a reality. And we have to face reality. Informed people are happy people. Now, when you go down here and you look at the things that are holding us back from our freedom, it is really important for you to know that And the majority of the people said their jobs. Sometimes we're working in toxic environments. So what can we do in order to make things better? And sometimes we have to BYOB, be your own boss. Whereas you might have to break free, and it can be difficult because you don't know what things will look like. And we get accustomed to certain lifestyles. So that's really, really difficult, and I understand. So make sure you take some time to reflect on that. And then we have the majority of you all said education is the key to freedom. I believe this also. And the one person who said it is not, it is okay. Because guess what? As time changes and things evolve, you may shift in your thinking, just as the people who said education is the key as well. But remember, informed people are happy people, and the knowledge that you have, you can use it not only to help others, but you can also use it to improve your job situation. You can use it in order to build yourself so you can take that freedom in order to move forward with your life and not be held in captivity and oppression. All right. Now we're going to move on to the last section of this conversation, which is dance. So I've shared a couple of pictures here of my dance experiences performing in different shows. If you look on the left, this is me right here performing in the musical Oklahoma. These are all many, many years ago in my early 20s. If you look up here at the upper right corner, you'll see me performing with the 300-piece orchestra with the opera singer, soprano Callan Esperian. Then down here, this is my early 20s doing a photo shoot. I'm a modern dancer, tap, all of these different styles. And I saved this one for last, which was one of my favorite performances. And this is me right here performing in front of sold out crowds each night, 2,500 plus, in the opera Porgy and Bess. That was one of my favorite performances ever because I learned so much in the midst of that production. So as you can see, dance has been a part of my life for some time. And these were the only pictures I could get to at the moment for this presentation. However, in all of these moments, I was allowed to be free. I was allowed to express myself. I was allowed to release the positive endorphins throughout my body. So remember, the brain controls everything. Even though some of the rehearsals were difficult, some of the costume changes were difficult, some of the technical skills of the movements were difficult, I was able to persevere and be resilient and move forward. So dance can be a very connecting type of experience, not only with yourself and learning about you, but also connecting with other people. Alvin Ailey, which was one of my favorite dancers, and I actually trained in New York at the Alvin Ailey School, said, but the dance speaks to everyone. Otherwise, it would not work, which makes me think about actions speak louder than words. When we are performing, not only on the stage or performing in your home or wherever you may be, your actions are going to speak. Someone's going to sometime see your physical actions before they even hear you. Why? Because of body language. That is actually movement. It's a dance, and you can dance in multiple ways. You can dance with your mouth when you're talking. You can dance with isolations of various body parts or the whole body. But the main thing is to get everything out of that brain and put it out into the universe and move, which is really important. So dance for all, to me, it is the ability to rhythmically move freely throughout space with or without music and enhance technical skills if desired, regardless of your demographics. If you know anything about dance, back in the day, dance it was for the rich, the privileged. However, slaves have been dancing for years. It was a way to release their anxieties. It was a way for them to express themselves. And remember, you don't have to have physical music. You can dance to the music in your head because the mind is a powerful organ, just like your heart, where you can love and take care of others. And remember, dance should be for everybody. Just like this picture over here, you have all different shades of colors that should have the opportunity to dance regardless of the ability to pay or regardless of your technical skills. I dance literally every morning while I'm brushing my teeth. I can do some demi-pliés, some relevés. I can tendu en croix, and I can work on a cambray, my port-de-bras, but that's for my technical dancers. You don't have to be technically trained to be dancing. Just move your body. I've noticed some students in K-12, they have to have special provisions so they can get up and move. In this country, we sit down so much because that's the way we do. But if you get up and dance, I guarantee you your life will change, but it's totally up to you. in order to make that happen. Now, if you look at this picture here on the right-hand side, this picture was from 1904. These dancers were performing the cakewalk, which was actually stemmed from what is called the ring shout. And that was done from slaves, which also stemmed from religion. Because if anybody knows anything about Black religion, you will say, all right, let's have a praise break. But in actuality, a praise break is a dance because you want to rejoice and you want to be happy and you want to be thankful for all the good things that that higher power is bringing to you. In the picture on the left, you have these young dancers here who are standing on the shoulders of giants, who are trying to release and show that, hey, we can dance too. So dance has been carried on for years and years and years and years. And it was also a way to get rid of that oppression. It was that time that you can actually be whoever you wanted to be and you can just be free. But are you being free right now? Sometimes you have to be at that job that you don't like and dance. Sometimes you have to be at that school when you didn't get that grade that you want and do what? And dance. But it's totally up to you. Your teacher may not understand because they're out of touch with society, and your boss may not understand. But as long as you know, free your mind and dance, and things will be all right. Catherine Dunham, one of a fabulous dancer and choreographer, and I love her technique style that I studied at the Ailey School. She says, we weren't pushing Black is beautiful. We just showed it. So remember, sometimes we don't know how to say things. So you might just have to move your body. And if you move your body, people will get the gist of what you're saying. Just like the Black Lives Matter movement, apparently people have not been listening to Black people and those other allies. So we had to move in a way and protest and show people this is what we want and this is what we demand, because we have to take our freedom. All right. But that is totally up to you in order to be willing and not fearful, false evidence that appears real of what the consequences may be, because there are consequences to everything. But think about all of those ancestors and all those historical figures that paved the way for you to have that right and for you to stand on their shoulders so you can move forward with your life like it is today. Hey, quick check-in. Now we're going to make this one a little quicker, so make sure you're paying attention so you can actually move forward into the next portion. So it's totally up to you. And I want to know, are you a dancer? Are you a dancer? It's a very simple one. So no worries, no stress. And remember, all answers are anonymous.
We're at 10 people responding. Oh, 11. So we might have all the responses we're getting now.
All right, let's go ahead and end this one. And we're going to do all of these results at once. And I'm ready.
All right. Do you consider yourself a dancer? 73% of our participants say yes, they consider themselves a dancer, and only 3 people say no. How does dancing make you feel? We have 1 person who says tired, 2 people who say embarrassed, but 91% of our respondents say that it makes them feel joyful, and then 55% say it makes them feel connected. And for do you enjoy watching dance performances? All our respondents, 100% said yes.
Awesome. So thank you all so much for participating. So guess what? We have 73 people that said that you think you are a dancer. Guess what? I'm here to tell you, you are. And those of you who believe that you are not, I guarantee you, you are a dancer. Remember, everything goes back to childhood, because when you start to walk, I guarantee you, when you're bouncing those little knees, you're doing those demi-plies and you're dancing. And when you wiggle your shoulders, you're dancing. And guess what? You are going to do it for the rest of your life. Dance is a part of you, whether you think it or not. You're a dancer. Just believe me. I know. Now, those of you who said how dance makes you feel, it's really nice to know that a lot of you all say that it makes you feel joyful. And like I said earlier, remember those positive endorphins will be released throughout your body, and it takes your mind to other places so you can just explore. And that's something that we forget to do as we get older, is explore, because we allow the social constructs of society to hinder or oppress how we think and how we interact with others. All right. So just make sure you continue to find that positive light in dance and in movement. And it's awesome to know that 100% of you like to watch dance. So remember, if you watch dance, guarantee you can actually do it. I've seen tons of performances. And a lot of times when I'm watching those performances, I want to get up and jump on the stage with those dancers or jump into the TV, and I want to try the choreography and just be fun and just be silly. It's okay. You may feel embarrassed, but don't be, because that means someone else has an issue internally with themselves. But you are free because you are a dancer. But remember, it's totally up to you. I had a third grade teacher that will always say, if it is to be, it is up to me. If it is to be, it is up to me. We had to write that on every single paper. But to this day now, I believe if anything is to be, it is up to me, not anyone else. Now, if you notice, we went over the Pledge of Allegiance earlier. This is something that I wrote myself, and I call it the Pledge of Well-Being. And it's an affirmation for self-efficacy and resilience against oppression that can be said at the start of each day. Because if you're pledging your allegiance to the flag and you don't know what you're doing, why not pledge something to yourself? Remember, you got to care for yourself before you can care for others. And it goes, I pledge positive well-being to myself, for I am human and my mental health matters, which I believe all things are possible with freedom and dance. And I want you to take some time to think about that. Go back and watch the recording. Now, make sure if you use this, you better make sure you cite it accordingly, because that is called stealing and plagiarism. So just make sure that you also give credit where credit is due, because I guarantee you when those tables are turned around, you do not want something to happen like that. You do not want to be snatched away from your home like you're a slave and being told what to do. All right. So we want to make sure that we free everyone and also support and connect with them as well. All right. Now, here are some quick benefits about dance as well, because a lot of people don't think that dance is beneficial, especially as far as dance education. It promotes psychological health and maturity. I keep saying it will release positive endorphins in your body. It also fosters what? Social encounter, interaction, and cooperation. During all of my dance career, I've enjoyed meeting and socializing with different dancers and learning their backgrounds, because everyone comes down a different path. And dance in particular, it integrates kinesthetic learning with understanding. And you know what? I know about the multiple intelligences, and I am a kinesthetic learner. So sometimes I have to get up and move. I've had students who would have troubles in other classes, but when they came to my class, I asked, do you need to get up? Do you need to move? Do you need to stand up? Do you need to walk around? Do you need to stand on a desk and jump? Do you need to yell and scream? It is okay. So I like to call my classroom experience organized chaos. But I can relate to these students because I have my own issues. And my thing is, I don't want to oppress them and hold them in captivity. Now, you see this picture on the left of this young boy right here. Now, a lot of people probably say, I'm not putting my son in dance because of their own negative issues and adverse childhood experiences or what they've been taught. However, if this young boy dances, I guarantee you he's going to be set up for success in order to excel and exceed and then graduate, so he is not another negative statistic, and he will get that high school diploma. He will get that associate's degree, that bachelor's degree, that master's degree, that specialist degree, and that doctorate degree. Notice I named all of them because you can't just stop with one. You got to keep going and keep moving forward. All things are possible with dance, and I want you to believe that. Guess what? It is time to check in again. We're almost done, and I thank you and I appreciate all of you all for hanging in there. I really do appreciate it. So take a moment to go ahead and respond to these questions so we can see, how do you feel? Is dance for you or not? You know? Remember, everything is anonymous. Don't worry about someone knowing what you answered.
Oh, these responses are looking good. And I think we have everyone now.
All right, awesome. You all are picking up the pace. You're picking up the pace. So we're going to go ahead and close this one out, and we're going to do all of the results at one time so we can touch on them and see what we have here.
All right, for the first question, would you rather be a dancer or a slave? We have 91% saying a dancer and 1% saying a slave. For our second question, anyone can be or become a dancer. Everyone said true, 100%. For our third question, do you believe that dance can help you to relieve stress and positively improve your mental health? 100% said yes.
All righty, so let's go ahead and keep things moving forward. Thank you all who responded. So those of you who said that you would rather be a dancer, that is awesome. And the person who said you would rather be a slave, it is no worries because I understand. Sometimes we get trained to do things in a certain way and we are held in captivity for so long that we don't know how to break free from that. So sometimes we need a little more information and a little more education in order to break free from those different ideologies. So it is nothing wrong with that. And it takes time for some people. So that doesn't mean I'm going to necessarily chastise you or make you feel bad about yourself because everyone is at a different point in their lives. All right. Can anyone become a dancer? You got it right because you've been dancing all your life and continue to dance. And hopefully you continue to do that. And guess what? Can dance relieve stress and make a positive impact on your mental health? It can. I'm a living proof. I'm a living testimony. And I would tell anybody, just dance, turn on some music or dance to the music in your head and just let the body flow however you choose. So it's totally up to you. All right. Excellent job, everybody. Thank you so much for participating. And remember, sometimes it only takes one dance to tell the story for you. And remember, you might not know how to say the words, but your body can move and your body can actually tell things that you may not be able to verbalize. But you have to believe in yourself, not feel embarrassed. Don't worry about who's watching because the main thing is to support yourself and to deliver yourself from that oppression. And if it doesn't work, get help. I put the information right here on the screen. And remember, this presentation is mainly for educational and inspirational purposes. It is not a substitute for mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Now, I self-medicated myself with dance, but I also, at one point in my life, was on medication. So there was one point in my life I had to see a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and a therapist. And I was going to 3 different appointments in a week. So you can only imagine how heavy and oppressive my life was. But the fact that I can stand here and talk to you today, that should let you know, hey, all things are possible. So don't be afraid of the stereotypes, just get help. And we're going to end with Pearl Primus. This is an excellent quote, and she's another fabulous dancer. Why do I dance? She says she dances because it's her medicine. It's the scream which eases for a while the terrible frustration common to all human beings who, because of race, creed, or color, are invisible. Dance is the fist with which I fight the sickening ignorance of prejudice. So remember, dance is a way to gain and take your freedom. It's a way to release all of those things that you have bottled up on the inside of you. However, if it is not enough for you, make sure that you get help and are not afraid to talk to somebody that you trust so you can make things better for your life. And the last check in. Yes, everybody, I know you're all like, oh my goodness, I did not plan to come be in class today. But at the same time, I want you to make sure that you're also learning about yourself. We're here to educate and inform because what? Informed people are happy people. So this is the time to have a little inspiration. This is a fairly quick poll. So I look forward to seeing what you all will say. It shouldn't take you no more than a couple of seconds to get this one done. And this is what I charge you with. I charge you with this today.
We're currently at 9 answers. Oh, 10. We might just have one more person answering. Looks like we might have all our responses.
All righty. So we're going to go ahead and end this one so we can wrap things up. And look at there. What do we have?
100% said yes, you can count on them to dance and take their freedom away from oppression.
That is awesome, everybody. So if I ever see you, I want to make sure that you tell me about how your dance experience is. And the fact that I can count on you, I want you to make sure you also share that experience with other people and just remind them you can dance. If you're having an issue, just dance. If you just can't get through the day at your job, just dance. If you're feeling down, dance, and you can get some positive endorphins throughout your body. That is awesome, everybody. I really and truly appreciate it. And I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember to reflect on what we talked about today. Don't forget to connect. And also don't forget to dance. You can follow me on the social media. You have both of my handles there on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And also don't forget the 3 books that I've published, which are all talking about character traits, positive character traits. Being respectful, being resilient, being responsible. And do not forget, once you receive that email with your feedback form, look at the end because I'm leaving you a digital treat so you can connect. All right, everyone, thank you so much. And we're going to open up this time for question and answer. And I really do appreciate you and your time.
So we have not received any questions in the chat. So that's a good for you, Clarence, because it means you've covered everything and answered all the questions before they had any. So we'll give it a minute for people to see if they have any other questions. I want to plug that your books are available on Amazon, so they can find them that way. And the feedback survey will come through the email that they registered with. It'll come sometime later this afternoon. So keep your eyes for that. It'll show up from the same email address that the Zoom login info came in.
Awesome.
Looks no.
Right.
Oh, here we go. One question. Can you recommend styles of dance for folks who don't see themselves as dancers? What's a good method of dance for people who don't feel comfortable with it?
Yes, that is an awesome question. And thank you for that. The style of dance that I would recommend would be modern dance. And the reason with modern dance, because it's something that's going to be more connected and grounded. And it depends on the type of modern dance, but we don't want to get into too many details with the different styles of modern dance. Well, modern dance can be very pedestrian style as well. So say, for instance, modern is considered the rebellion against ballet, whereas ballet is going to be very structured, very upright. Whereas modern dance, you can be free and you can be loose, and you're barefoot. You don't necessarily have to have the tights on. You may be without a shirt, or you may have your arms out or your legs out. The main thing is you want to be what? Free, held from captivity. So I would definitely say try modern dance, and you have different genres as far as, say, for instance, there's postmodern dance, which you have a lot of different ages participating in, from little babies all the way to senior citizens in their 80s and 90s. And I know different dance companies that I experienced in Maryland that had all age groups dancing in that company. So definitely modern dance.
All right, and then we have kind of a follow-up related question. Are there good free classes online for modern dance or other types of dance?
So there's not a particular free class that I would necessarily know about now, and depending on where you're located as well. However, what I would suggest as far as free dance classes, I would definitely say Google or search on the internet, and you can watch YouTube videos and you can imitate. And I would also suggest looking at some of those wonderful dance shows that they have, like The Masked Dancer, So You Think You Can Dance, which I plug in that I actually auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance many years ago, which was an interesting experience. You also have Dancing with the Stars. Look at some of those dance movies you have. And you have on Netflix, I know you have various dance series as well that you can connect with as well. And sometimes what I do while I'm watching those shows in those different apps, I literally get up and I start doing the choreography. Of course, it's all backwards because I'm looking at the television, but it's another way for me to get up and move versus sitting on the couch and becoming a couch potato and just watching. I actually engage and connect and participate. Thank you. Excellent question.
Very good. And I don't see any other questions. Does anybody else have any last minute questions they want to get in for Clarence? Oh, here we go. We have one question or comment. Oh, one of our participants has a suggestion for the last question. Dance Church is a donation-based online dance hour every Sunday morning and several other times each week. It's slightly guided, but allows you to dance as well. Thank you, Ruth. That's a good suggestion. And I will copy that and send it to everyone so you can all see her suggestion. There we go. All right, great. Does anybody else know of any other good participatory or instructional dances? Oh, we have another question. What dance do you recommend for toddlers and preschoolers to be able to express themselves while they're still building their vocabulary?
Oh, that is an awesome questions. So most toddlers and preschoolers, when they do begin their dance journey, they usually start with what is called creative movement. For instance, they may dance like various animals. And remember, I actually started my education career teaching pre-kindergarteners. So I was able to explore with them. And this is where the parents can actually participate in some of those classes with them. And you can become a child all over. And I like to say adults are like just big kids anyway, but definitely creative movement, because they will actually get to explore and they will actually get to imitate different animals. They may be able to imitate different shapes. And it's also educational because they're going to start to learn vocabulary as well. And my master thesis was called Literacy Learning Through the Arts. So how can you connect dance as an interdisciplinary subject with literacy? So it's tons of ways that dance could be infused with helping the educational outcomes of our youth. So that is an awesome question.
Right, so creative movement, and I'm assuming they can Google that phrase too and find some YouTube videos or classes or things.
Yes, definitely.
Perfect.
And also it depends on where you are located in the country and the regulations as far as keeping everyone safe right now.
Mm-hmm. All right, that might have been our last question. I don't see any more coming in. So thank you again so much, Clarence. This was great. This video will get posted to YouTube. I do not do it myself, so there will be a little bit of a delay. But once it's posted, you'll be able to share it around with friends or people who missed this and with your schools and let other people know about the program as well. And check your emails for your feedback survey that you'll get later this afternoon. Thank you for joining us today.
Bye, everyone. Thank you again for coming. See you later.